everyone. Thursday night, 9 o'clock. Time for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. I'm just having a look at my Wi-Fi signal. Ooh, hope I make it through the show. Okay, we've had so many power failures this week. I won't harp on that. But let's just say that things aren't running very smoothly at the moment. But we've got lots of great rugby to talk about and two panelists situated quite far away from me to talk about it. And I'll start at the top of the screen. He's looking kind of neat and I don't want to say clean shaven because he's still sporting a beard there, but looking good, Chris Rowe at the Crow Tips on Twitter there. Haven't been quite as active betting over the last few weeks, but I'm guessing you're getting back into it now with the internationals.
Yeah. I mean, So like I was saying to you earlier, I never really bet on the pro tournament ever. It was never my tournament, and because other tournaments stopped and it was the main event, and the South African teams were in it, I got myself involved, and I had such a good Curry Cup that I was back in South African teams early doors, and I've been burnt. The last month hasn't been good, and I'm I'm grateful it's going to take a break, and the internationals are back, which is better. Yeah, so looking forward to the next couple of weeks more suits my style.
Excellent. Well, first of all, to welcome some of the guys coming in on the live chat there. We got Alexander Cox, the Wager Warlock, Hawke, Werner, and Sharp Brain all joining us live. And then joining us from Surrey in the UK, it's Brendan O'Connell. Brendan, good to have you on the show, mate.
Yeah, good feedback, Jeepers. But after last week's disastrous campaign, I'm hoping to find a couple of winners this time around. It was a bloodbath last weekend, I'm not going to lie. But thankfully, here and there, I managed to claw back bits and pieces, but it was still a bad weekend.
Right. Well, we got some international rugby to talk about this weekend, Brendan. I'm going to start with you. We've got, let's start with the big test match of the weekend. It's the one between two Tier 1 nations, and that's Wales up against New Zealand. And just having a look here, Southpaw on the Good for the Game forum, he came in quite early in the week and he said minus 22.5 New Zealand. He fancied the price would move out. I've got 25.5 here at Sunbet, but I've even seen bigger, 26.5, 27.5. The lines definitely moved in New Zealand's favour. So, Brendan, what are your thoughts on this one? Just to let you know, the roof is definitely, from what I understand, going to be open. And it does seem as though there could be some inclement weather about. How's that going to sort of play out as well? What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, what in this game? Yeah. So, I also read that, Southpaw was jumping in the early 22.5, which is probably a good move. It's certainly gone out to 25.5. That's generally the spread I've seen in the UK. It's possible that'll go out one or two more points, I'd say, because a couple of the articles that I've read so far, they sort of highlight the fact that the Welsh are sort of under strength, and it's not one of their top sides it's not their best side that they can put out at the moment. So yeah, just with that sort of sentiment in the air, I think it will probably go out 26, 27. The roof is open. It's a French referee. It's all what's his face, Matthew Ranel. So you can expect lots of the old paw being, moved out as soon as an attacking side moves into a 22. The old peanut will be ready to go. The handicap's sort of going to a price where I probably wouldn't want to get too involved. I do feel, the Welsh at home, the roof is open, and I do take those points that South made into, they're important points with regard to if there is inclement weather and there's a little bit of rain about. There's quite a bit of rain, certainly in the morning, but by the time sort of 5 o'clock, I think it's a 5:15 kickoff local time here in the UK, I think the rain would have passed by then. There might still be the fleeting chance of a few showers, but it's always best to just make sure before you place your bets, just to have a good idea what the weather's like, because obviously it's volatile and it can change all the time. But there's pretty much rain forecast all over the UK, sort of for the weekend. So, it's going to be sporadic. There's going to be some heavy downpours at stages, but it's best just to, try and get the pictures as soon as you can, or jump onto Twitter and try and get an idea of what's happening on the, at the various stadiums around the UK and stuff. And that kind of, I got like handwritten ringing in my head here, about Ian Foster and things like that, and sort of the Welsh at home, and the All Blacks kind of had it easy last week against the US. Yeah, they've pulled in a whole lot of players. It's Baden Barrett's 100th sort of cap. They've got an incredible side when you look at it on paper. It's just ridiculous how the Welsh. It's going to be a case of just the Welsh just trying to keep them out, I think. Rain plays a part that can help them possibly. 26, 20. For me, it's probably a no bet. It's going to kill me to say that because I probably will have a bet anyway. But the point is, at these lines, 25, 26, not for me at this stage.
Yeah, so if you got on the minus 22.5, if the line was still there, you might be tempted, Brendan, but not there at the current line. Just to touch on, unfortunately, I was hoping we'd have a total points line, and I'm sure if the roof was closed, bookies would have priced up on the points. But I mean, I've just seen in the live chat, for example, differing weather forecasts coming through. So it often depends which sort of weather site you're looking at, quite frankly. So I agree with your advice. Have a look on the day. But just your thoughts from a points perspective. Are you going to let the weather dictate to you there, Brendan, or you got a firm view on that?
I suppose you're looking at, what are we looking at? If Wales can kind of score, let's just say 15, we're looking at 30, we're looking at the mid-50s. It probably sounds quite high initially, it's sort of the mid-50s, you would imagine. Can Wales score 15? Maybe they can. A couple of penalties and whatnot. Look, if it's pouring, then I'm certainly looking at unders. I mean, that's where I'll be diving
Wales
in.
unders probably in particular.
Yeah, and even more so than Wales unders as well. But overall, I think it's just a wait and see. Just wait and see what this weather brings, because it is a huge factor, and it should play a huge factor as well if it is raining. And if it's not, the pitch will be damp, it will be wet, it might, the going will be heavy. Then I probably wouldn't get involved.
Right, so not too eager to get involved at this stage, Brendan O'Connell. Let's see if a man at the Crow Tips is a bit more bullish on this game, or if he also agrees that the bookies have got it right.
Well, first things first. I don't know if I think people have mentioned that I ran a half marathon 2 weeks ago, and I finished it in 2 hours 29. And our very own Mr. Oracle, Gavin, challenged me that he ran a 2 hour 34 as a 20-odd-year-old. So I don't know if he's on the show, but that was the challenge. I never thought about a time at all. But when he told me that, that's all I could think about when I thought I was going to die at 18 kilometers. So Gavin, I beat challenge done, challenge accepted. We'll go again. So I just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, it was a good experience.
I'm surprised Gavin didn't give you a spread. I'm very surprised he didn't give you a spread. An over and an under.
Kids and he's sailing, and I think anyway, I beat his time. That's all that matters. But in this game, so I'll be honest, I only learned about the roof about an hour or two ago. Prior to that, I was all over New Zealand. I just think the golf. So what I think how it's going to go. New Zealand, Wales have made changes. I think they're going to come out house on fire. They're going to all guns blazing. The first half is going to be super intense. Perhaps Wales get an early try. Perhaps New Zealand do New Zealand things and break them down and get an early try. But I still think the first half is going to be super intense. And I thought this is in a dry game. And then I thought that in the second half, the class prevails, cream rises to the top. If you look at New Zealand's bench, Wales are not living with them. I don't care what you say. They can do it against England in a Six Nations Grand Slam decider under the roof. Yeah, I don't buy the faster stuff. New Zealand on New Zealand. They're not as strong as they used to be, but they're a better side than any team in the world still. And they're a lot better than this Wales side. And they've played rugby. Yes, they've traveled around. And then I heard about the roof. 28 I don't like. I'm not going minus. I never go minus on on New Zealand, but 28 is too much. If the roof is open and there's weather, that's going to give Wales an opportunity, and I'm not going to be better on the handicap. But what I really do like, and I did like, and I'm going to stick to this even if it's raining, is I'm going to predict that it's going to be a tight first half, even if it's a few penalties exchanged at a try or two, or New Zealand to go 2 tries up. I think Wales will stem it in the first half. But I think the second half is going to be a runaway with points. And I think points second half, highest score in half is for me one of my favorite bets of the weekend. I like that in the dry. I'm going to still back it in the wet, but I'm not going to touch the handicap. And if it was dry, New Zealand was scoring over 30 points. And I think if you were getting Wales 15 points, you could take the over there too, because New Zealand's defense isn't what it was and their discipline. At home, Wales could cover that 15 points, but I think New Zealand are still scoring over 30, 35 points easily against this Welsh team. So, yeah, I mean, this will change a lot, but that's my view. I still think, considering the roof's open, my better bet for this game is that the second half is still the highest scoring half. I still think those New Zealand subs come on and Wales will be worn out. They'll kill them, they'll pump themselves up, and they haven't played a lot, and the class will prevail.
Interesting, yeah. I don't know a lot of punters, and I've taken that bet.
Yeah, it's not a popular bet.
Yeah, it's not a bet I commonly get involved with, but there are times when it's, and Henrik talks about the games of two halves and that sort of stuff. And if you can read a game like that, there's definitely some value. I'll just throw something else at you, Chris. I know you're a bit wary about the handicap if conditions are wet, but I just popped onto Sunbet because I know they've got a second half handicap out early, and they in New Zealand minus 14.5. So based on your feeling that the handicap might be a bit high overall, but that you think New Zealand are going to run away with the second half, is that cap anything to tempt you, or is it still a bit high?
I think that cap will be broke. That New Zealand will cover that cap, but that's not as confident as the points. Just because when games open up, we know this, right? Teams sneak in for points at the end, right? Where, even if New Zealand are 30 points ahead, Wales could sneak in a try or two and blow that cap out. I prefer the points because I would probably see New Zealand maybe scoring 3 tries in the first 20 minutes in the second half. Again, this was the dry weather predictions, right, guys? So please bear this in mind. They could have flown out into a 30-point lead, and then Wales maybe come back. You know what happens? A try or two. But then there's those points over the second half, murder in the first half points, and that's why I like it. And that's why I like it for this because I just do see Wales coming out, and even if New Zealand do get an early try or two, I don't see them like running away with it. I think you sometimes see that like with the Box, right? They went first try 2 minutes, stemmed it back in. I think the Wales can stem that in the first half, but I don't think this team is capable of holding New Zealand for 80 minutes.
Right. Well, just having a look there, you probably get around about 8 to 10, 5 to 6, the second half higher scoring. Chris, let's stay with you for the next test match. Interesting one, this. I did see some comments of yours on Twitter on this. Scotland minus 32.5 against Tonga. Now, I guess the key here is really what Tongan side are they putting out here? The Tongan side that lost to New Zealand 102-0 or something it was, or is it going to be a bit of a better side? And then, of course, we've got to look at the Scottish side, which is, I'll say, jam-packed with a few South African players there. But 32.5 for New Zealand to beat this handicap against Tonga will be a walk in the park. But is this too big for Scotland?
Well, that was my initial thoughts. I mean, then that's why I know 3P put that out quite confidently, because this is just a spot that I'm never comfortable with, purely because of that, right? I mean, if it was Scotland's first side and there were 3 games into this winter series, this cap is blown away. But because Scotland also have debutants, so does Tonga. You can argue that Scots debutants are better than Tonga. You can argue that obviously Scots are better trained and drilled and coached side, sure. But if you look at these sides, Scotland and Wales, we spoke about this before, when they play the minnows, they get drawn into these minnows quality sometimes. And because it's the first game and it's new combos, and I can't see how Scotland are going to come out firing and blow Tonga away, because I don't think Tonga, even though Tonga might be the lesser side, I don't see it. Just what I was Douglas said, I don't see that separation of 33 points at the end of the day. I mean, I know Scotland beat Georgia, but I think that was a better side, and probably Georgia are a better side than Tonga. But I'm not a big one to read into a match six months ago. It's a different day, whole different environment. I don't think Tonga is going to die wondering. It's probably the right bet. This is a no. So where are we going with this? This is a complete no bet for me, because I don't like it. But I don't. Obviously, there was comments there and 3P, and that's fine. I mean, yeah, quality. If you want to go matchups, yeah, that's the right bet. But I've seen Scotland, Wales, Ireland struggle against the lower team. They bring them down, and 33 points becomes a lot, because if Tonga throw it around, get 2-3 tries, Scotland's got to be scoring 50. I mean, when last did Scotland score 50? I don't think I ever seen them score 50. So, yeah,
Brendan, I guess the question there is whether Tonga can score the 2 or 3 tries, because based on their performance against New Zealand, you'd have to say that could be questionable. But yeah, I mean, has this handicap moved at all, or is this pretty much where it opened, Brendan?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much more or less where it opened, eh? Yeah, just reiterating there what Chris was talking about. I like what he mentions, with regard to 6 months ago, you can't even look at like form results and things that happened, because that 102-0 victory for the All Blacks against Tonga, I mean, that was just ridiculous, right? They had like schoolboys and all sorts of these characters like playing in that team. I mean, it was just ridiculous, right? And then they went ahead and they had a slightly stronger team, and then they lost against Samoa. I think I remember going for Tonga in that because I thought there might be some sort of bounce back with a few players or something, and I took them on the handicap, but it got beat. Yeah, it's a really tough game, but it's actually a game that I'm actually quite interested in punting in, because I make Tonga on the 34.5. That's the one I've seen here. 34.5, quite a good bet. And for a lot of the reasons that Chris has mentioned, that Scotland have got 8 debutants. We don't really know exactly what Tonga side is going to be pulled out, but I think the fact that it's Scotland's first game, and like Chris said as well, these Manaus do have a habit sometimes of pulling down a side. There is a little bit of rain about. I think there's quite a bit of rain in the morning, especially, which could again drag out into the afternoon. But yeah, 34.5 just seems way too much for me for a Scottish side. Their pack looks quite good and quite reasonable. Their bench is so. But again, you just don't know what you got with Tonga. But for me, I don't know, it just stared out at me, the 34.5, and I just thought, no, 34.5, that's a good one for me. So I'm quite strong on 34.5 here, Tonga, which is quite a funny thing to say because you have no idea who this Tonga team is. But I just have a good feeling about it. And I see the ref's Nick Berry. Nothing really to say much about him, really, other than, yeah, man, I'll be wearing red on Saturday for Tonga.
Well, hopefully that's not going to be your white shirt covered in blood after a bloodbath here for the spot. Having said that, I must tell you guys that I was leaning towards Scotland on the handicap here. Not strong, but I'm just looking, I've done a bit of reading on this Tonga side, and I'm just not sure. Yes, I'm not even sure we can call them Manaus. What's below Manaus in rugby? I mean, that's kind of where I think Tonga might be at the moment. So, yeah, I think we might get a big Scottish win here. But I think the general sentiment appears to be with you guys. Peter Paul making the comment here, 2 yellows for Tonga. And that's an interesting point, because they are the sort of side, you could see them coming in with a couple of clothesline tackles type of thing. And that could well
even a red.
Yeah, there's some bookies, and I do like this bet. You can get specials for 2. If you can find 2 yellows around even money, I think that's where you want to be betting on this game. I don't think you want to be betting around honestly.
I used to play the spread markets quite a lot, and they used to have a bookings index. So a yellow card counted 10 and a red card counted 25. And normally the spread was about 11, 14. And it's a very strange way to watch a game when you're high on booking points and you're just hoping for that guy to be taken out in the air. But it's a terrible thing, but like, geez, he landed on his head, give him a red, that type of thing. Interesting way to watch the game. But anyway, I think the bottom line here, guys, we've probably analyzed these test matches as far as we can. Certainly the handicaps are not badly set. I think there's going to be action both sides of the lines now. Yes, New Zealand has moved out, but I think it is reaching that point probably around the 27, 28. We are going to start getting some Welsh sort of support coming in. But let's move on to the Gallagher Premiership. And just before we move off the internationals, just to say, of course, next week we get going in full crowd. We've got South Africa in action. We've got Ireland in action. We've got all the teams, Australia in action as well. So we've got plenty of internationals. So don't miss next week's show. That's for sure. But let's move on to the Gallagher Premiership. And I'm going to, let me just pop onto player bets. They've got quite a nice format here. And we got the one game tomorrow night, Brendan, and I'll start with you. It's Gloucester Rugby up against Exeter Chiefs. Exeter, they've cost me a bit of money this season, I must tell you. They are the favourites here. -2.5 and I'm guessing that's probably because they're missing a few players.
The old dog.
Those dogs cower after a bad bet. I know that much.
I think Reese is trying to grab a beer there in the background, and I think Dee thought he was stealing one or something. I don't know what. One of the dogs thought he was stealing a beer or something. Anyway, Yeah. Sorry, Brent. Yeah. Oh God, Exeter.
So
Yeah.
Exeter, and then I'll give you a points line here as well, because being a Friday night game, we've got a points line 46.5 at Gloucester.
Yeah. Sure. Last Friday, man, that's where it all started. That's where the downhill just began. This Friday, some rain about, yes, once again, but again, it should have cleared up by the time the game kicks off. Gloucester, Exeter. Okay, they've lost a couple of players to the England squad. Sam Simmons, Johnny Hill, Henry Slade. Gloucester lost a couple as well. Johnny Mayer and one of the other backs, I think, have left. So both are slightly depleted. Exeter, oh man, I can't get over that performance last week, okay? Because you know me with London Irish, right? I mean, the week before I'd had a massive strike against Gloucester of all teams, you know.
Yes.
And I know Paddy Jackson missed a drop kick right in the last couple of seconds, and it was a 25-point draw. I'd had enough of them, and I looked at the handicap 16.5, and it was 17.5 or whatever it was, and I said, "There's no way that London Irish are even staying close in this." It was their 6th game in a row, pretty much the same squad altogether. I mean, everything just pointed towards an Exeter victory, you know. And what happened? Exeter just didn't rock up. I've never seen such a dull performance in all my life from Exeter. It was just appalling. So now they're playing Gloucester. Gloucester, you know, they're a form side. They're one of the form sides in the Premiership at the moment. They're playing well. They're playing at home in front of a good crowd. But for me at this stage, I have to think of the bounce back from Exeter. They're still a good team. I mean, kind of like the Bristol Bears, they seem to have gone backwards at a rate of knots. I don't know if they've got the bounce back ability as Exeter does. But for me, I'm quite strong on the Exeter -2.5 here. I just got a feeling that, yeah, I don't know, whatever went wrong last week, and I suppose it's more hope really that Exeter will improve and that they'll bounce back strongly here. Gloucester, no slouches, and that, you know, they'll be up for it. I mean, the handicap's, it's tight. It's 2.5 points. It's next to nothing. You know, Exeter, yeah, it's not a game I'll get too involved in, but -2.5 is probably my early call. The points, 46.5, it looks a little bit low, to be honest. I'm not going to go unders around the 46.5. The weather should be good. Gloucester score points. Exeter can score points. So for me, 46.5 is no play, especially in the early stages. Have a look at the weather, you know, when the pictures come out. Maybe it's a bet for in running. You know, sometimes I enjoy that. If there's a fast start and there's quite a few points scored early, then I might look at something unders. But at 46.5, no, I think it's too low. But I certainly won't be going overs because that's just not me.
I was going to say, now, most people say it's too low, it means they go overs. But in your case, when it's spread's too low, you just have a no bet.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, if anything, I probably will have a nibble on Exeter. Either on the -2.5, or I'll just include them in a multiple, just on an outright kind of bet. And otherwise, but again, you know, because the weather factor is going to play such an important part this weekend, you've just got to have your, you know, your eye on the telly. Make sure that you got your Twitter up and running, because it's important. It will be very, very important. Yeah. And, you know, if you could just get that split kind of couple of seconds before the bookies, you know, adjust it accordingly, you know, to the weather as well. I think it's the way to play. It's quite a cautious weekend, I think.
Yeah, no, it's fair enough. I think you're right. The weather's going to play a big role this weekend. Chris, let's go to you on this game. Gloucester against Exeter.
Well, where do we start? Exeter have absolutely, well, said, don't say these words, family show, but me, the season so far, starting with Northampton, I had them big time to take them at home. That game, we had 14-0 up. I didn't even look at the score until 20 minutes after the game and nearly had a baby. Then I thought, no, it's London Irish. That's exactly what Brendan was saying. They went down 14. I actually did not panic. I thought it's Exeter at home, man. Like, what, you know?
I also didn't panic. I know what you mean. You thought they were going to run away with it.
Yeah, 14 all at halftime.
No, and geez, I mean, my doubles last week were 2 X's, and Mr. Monsieur Brady himself always warned me this double treble strategy, which the Europeans he said, don't put the same game in two of your bets for this reason. That's happened to me 3 times, and it's happened to me 3 bloody times. I put Exeter into these 2 bets, and I mean the cap was ridiculous, but I mean even just 3 points, I had them over 24.5 points. I mean, anyway. As Brendan's saying, when they lost to Northampton, they went to Sale. Sale started well with the win, but Exeter came back and pretty much controlled that game. I anticipate the same thing from Exeter this week. I mean, I think the cap's perfect. I think Gloucester at home, the team they are, the way they're playing, the cap at 2 is perfect. But I'm with Brendan on this. My lean, I'm not confident, but my lean is Exeter. But I'm going to say rain or shine or not, I think 46 is way too low. I think this is a 50-52 point game. And Exeter don't mind the wet. Gloucester will give and take points. I think 46 is too low. Stuff the cap. If you can get 46, take over 46.
All right, nice confidence selection there by Chris on the overs. Let's stay with you, Chris, to go on to the next game. The Worcester Warriors have been in absolutely abysmal form. They take on Sale Rugby. And here we got Worcester, the underdogs at home, plus 12.5.
So just because Sale aren't the best travellers, but in terms of quality, and I like the matchups, I like the cream rises to the top at the end of the day. I had no time for Worcester last season. They came in and thrashed Irish at home first game, and we got a little bit excited. Since then, we've seen nothing from them. I think if you look at Sale are still being Sale. They are a top 4 side. Worcester are a top bottom 2 side. If you're going to bet on the cap, you go on the Sale minus. Yeah, I don't know how Worcester live with Sale. I think they're going to be too powerful. But this is not this is not a confidence as my previous punt on the overs, because Sale can fall asleep away from home, and Worcester might have a cracker up their bums from after last week and might have a bee in their bonnet and put in a good performance. So it's a little bit touch and go. But if you're gun to the head handicap bet, I'll be on the minus.
Right, Brendan, put a gun to your head. What are you going with?
Okay. I disagree with Chris on this one. Okay, only because I still have what Neil has set into my mind with regard to Sale. And Chris did mention it there, that they can get quite lazy. They're not a great handicap side, Sale. Look, Worcester are awful, absolutely awful. I mean, I remember reading a couple of articles before the season began, and they really, they've gotten a couple of good players. There was a positivity around the club that things were going to be good. And they beat London Irish. They beat them convincingly, and it was great. And then I think the second game they lost it, but it wasn't too bad. But since then, it's been awful. I think their last 3 outings, they've conceded 120 or 130 points, and they've probably scored about 15 or 20. I mean, it's appalling. It's shocking, But I'm going to lean on what Neil has mentioned in the past, and I actually make the plus 13.5 a big runner here. Sale missing a couple of players. They've gone off, with the English squad. Manawatu Up, Rafi Quirk, the old number 9, he's very good, and Tom Curry, fantastic player. Worcester Warriors obviously lose no one because no one wants them, but they. Funnily enough, it's one of my better bets of the weekend. And I can't believe that I'm going for Worcester Warriors. I should have my head read, But there we go. 140 points, says Dino. It's shocking, But somewhere the rot has to finish. And I just think that, Sale played their heart out last week against Leicester. Thankfully, it was one of my few winning bets from last week, and I managed to get 8.5 plus 8.5 Sale against Leicester. And a late try got me back into the money there. But I just got a feeling that Sale can be lazy. I was at the game when Sale were away to London Irish, and they built up a 21-7 lead or a 21-0 lead, I think, at one stage. Ended up drawing at 31 each. You know what I mean? They're just that kind of side that can do it. Player for player, they beat Worcester Warriors by 25. You know what I mean? But I just got a feeling this weekend there's something. There's a little bit of rain around as well. okay, should actually suit the sale pack more. But I just think that, I'm with the plus 13.5.
Then
And
I'm not going to lie.
confident on it.
I'm not filled with confidence from your justification there. I think I'll be.
Brendan, what gives you that confidence? Like, I hear what you're saying. Like, what has Worcester given you the last? Give you any inkling that?
I wish there was a big magnifying glass like into my ear here to see how this brain is working. But it's just one of those things when something looks so obvious to me, I just realized. But hold on,
Yeah.
I have a feeling that it's just one of those gut feels. And when I looked at this game, I said, "This is the game. The Worcester Warriors cover the cap." And let's wait and see.
I think you have a chance. I think if you want, were you on Worcester last week, Brendan, or not? I don't know. A lot of the guys were. I mean, I think Worcester was more. I think you have a better chance back in Worcester to this game than you did last week, right? I would certainly agree with that. Because Saints,
you know what happened last week?
Yeah.
I actually went under on the Worcester points, which arrived, but I went unders on the total game itself. But Saints scored flipping, I don't know, 60 points or something, and old Skosani or whatever his name is, he got this hat trick, and oh my God, it was everything. My thought in that game was that Worcester Warriors wouldn't score much, but they were going to try and keep things tighter, but they couldn't.
They were just bad.
Lads, we're spending way too much time on the Worcester Warriors here. Let's move on.
Yeah, right. Let's move
Brendan,
on.
I'll stick with Brendan on this one. Bath up against Wasps, and here we've got tight game in the betting, but we've got Bath underdogs at home plus 2.5.
Yeah, I mean,
Brendan,
again,
before you start, I'll tell you a regular guest on the show as well. He doesn't come on that often, but on a fairly regular basis, Mike Good. I know he picked up Wasps at even money early in the week. He makes them a good thing for the win here. And I see the money has come for them.
They were a plus as well earlier.
Much earlier. They were. That's right, because now you got Bath plus 3.5. So Bath actually lose 4 players to the English camp. Wasps lose none. Wasps obviously will make wholesale changes. We don't have the changes yet until tomorrow, but they'll make massive changes to what was laid out at Series last week. So you put a line through that result. My initial thought also, I like Wasps, but now with plus 3.5 Bath, no bet for me. I've lost it. But this is a game that I'll be definitely looking at unders in. Again, there's no quotes out, unfortunately. With the weather around, the bookies are obviously going to be a little bit more cautious. So I'm probably estimating around 46, 47.5 will be an early sort of shout, with weather 50-50. But I'm quite strong on the unders there. I think Bath will want to sort of keep things as tight as possible, try create some kind of win, because they weren't too bad last week against Quins. I mean, I think they went into the break at 17-14 up. And then Harlequins came out and sort of, controlled most of the second half. And Bath didn't score another point. But there were signs there that were positive. Look, they lose a couple of good players. Wasps I still like, but because I missed the plus and the evens, I'm not gonna take them on the handicap now at minus 3.5. That's for sure. But I'm pretty strong on the unders here. As long as it doesn't pop out at like 42.5 or something, unless it's pouring. 46, 47, 48. I'm an unders there for sure.
Right.
Alex just saying he picked up the early value on Wasps there for the win. Chris, did you get onto that as well? Are you involved in this game?
No, I totally missed it. I didn't get to any rugby stuff until Wednesday, so I missed all that early stuff. And so you know me, so Brendan, I apologize. Okay, if it was dry, this is completely an overs game. There'll be tries, ping pong, try poker going on here. But if it's going to be wet, unders is in play. Good, fine. But I think in this spot, and I agree with you that Wasps are the better. I think on paper, Wasps are the better side, but where Bath have been going, getting hammered by Saracens, what they did last week against Quins at home, they need to win. This is their spot. They're going to win. It's going to be a 2-3 point game. But I'm going to say Bath sneak it. I'm not going to get involved in the points because of the weather. If it was dry, it's a 55-point game at least. But I'm going to give Bath I'm gonna on pure rugby punting terms. Bath are gonna get their home win tomorrow against Wasps for Saturday.
Right, Chris, we'll stick with you for the next game. London Irish. I'm sure Brendan's going to have an opinion on London Irish.
Oh,
Make
God.
up against Bristol
It's
Bears.
always a wrong opinion.
Yes, yeah, whatever that opinion is, we'll go against it. But, Chris, we got the London Irish here are slight underdogs. I've got basically plus half a point. You can almost call this a choice game. Bears, very slight favourites.
Oh, Irish, you lucky guys, eh? What respect there, eh? They've earned it. But I don't know how. It would never, it makes no sense at all. But the fact of the matter is Bristol have been ridiculous. I don't even have words for it. Irish are punching, and they've drawn the last 2 of the last 3 games. So Irish, look at their squad. It's the same as Newcastle. These squads, they come out firing, and they match the top teams in the first half of the season. And I bet in the return fixture, this is a -10 cap for Bristol at home, right? But tomorrow or this weekend, Irish are in this game. I'm gonna say Bristol win in this game. What is the cap? Sorry, Brent. It's not
Almost
very
choice.
high, right?
Bristol minus half a point.
So Bristol money line for me, and quite confident. Bristol going to beat Irish tomorrow on the weekend. That's going to happen.
Right, and let's see, Brendan. Now you've got London Irish wrong 2 weeks in a row. Are you going to make it a hat trick?
I think it's more than that. I think I've pretty much got that. I just cannot catch this side. Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, how much emphasis do you put into that win against Exeter last week? I'd kind of thought that trip down to Sandy Park was just going to be a bridge too far. It was just going to be too much for them. Lo and behold, they win it. So now I'm thinking to myself, how do you react to this? Do they go back to their old shitty ways, or do they improve a little bit more? But can they improve any little bit more? But man, I'm trying to think back of a game. Was it last season or the season before? It was a game, I think, where Bristol ran in about 5 or 6 tries in the first. I mean, it was glorious weather and it was wonderful. And I think Bristol ran up like a 35-0 sort of first half space between themselves and London Irish, and then London Irish came back, and then I think in the end, there was like a 2-point or 3-point between them. I don't know. I am going to go for London Irish. I have to go for London Irish. Their first win of the season has to be around the corner. Okay, they've had 2 draws at home, and I just, yeah, there's plus 1.5. I've seen it might go to 2.5. If it goes to 2.5, I'm on them because there might be another draw. But Bristol, for me, I've just got no confidence in them. There's no confidence. They just, I don't know what's gone wrong with them. Whereas London Irish is just plodding along, the same old London Irish. So I'm plus 1.5, 2.5. That's my.
Bristol have some guys back. Sheedy, Luatua. I think they're going to be in the squad. I don't think we've seen them yet.
Yeah,
I agree with you, Brendan. And for me, Irish have got above themselves. I mean, my opinion. I mean, they're 50, all guns blazing, do match. But I'm a believer. Like Bristol, Bristol, they didn't become crap. Excuse my language. In like 4 games, right? If they rock up and want to play, Irish are not going to live with them. But the thing is, the ironic thing is, we've got to go look at some history. Irish live with Bristol, right? So this Irish are in this game. But I'm just thinking in terms of the season for Bristol, this is a must-win game for Bristol. Everything about it, they have to win this. So I think they're going to come out and prove a point. That's just my view.
I'm going to separate you guys with a bit of a tie-break there, chaps. And I'm going to go Bristol here. I'm with Chris on this one. I'm basing that on a couple of things. One, Brendan's form on London Irish is absolutely shocking. 2, early on in the show, Brendan did suggest that we shouldn't look 6 months back for form, yet he's just gone 2 years back and looked at the game. So I'm prepared to say that the Bristol Bears will win this one. I'm going for them. Sorry, Brendan, I couldn't resist that one. But, yeah. going for the Bristol Bears.
Sorry. Oh my
I tell you what, I'll go to Chris and mute you there for a sec, Brendan. Chris, we'll start with you in the next game, the Northampton Saints against the Leicester Tigers. And here we've got another close game. Gee, we got some close handicaps this week. Northampton Saints are the underdogs +2.5.
Yeah, this is a beaut. These two teams, especially Saints at home, Leicester's form. No, if there's weather about, don't ask me how's going to happen in this game. I'm sorry, but it's going to be a good game because these are the two form teams. But hell, this is a tough one. So I know right now.
I'm just enjoying Hawke's comment on the live chat. It's the underdogs barking in the background. I enjoy that one, Hawke. Very sharp indeed. Mad Dog odds. He's also going to come on the show sometime. Creevy has scored in his last 5 games.
Full of info at this point. Yeah, get him on. Yeah, full of info.
That's it. Yeah. And I saw Creevy's score. I mean, he didn't score a typical hooker's try last time either. It wasn't sort of off a maul. He actually took the pass and crashed over the line. Brendan, on this game then, Northampton Saints against the Leicester Tigers?
Yeah, man. Oh, jeepers. Yeah, this is a terrific game, eh? Leicester unbeaten. They're putting their unbeaten record on the line here against Saints. Saints have only lost the one game, and that was away to Wasps, I think. Both teams lose quite a number of players to the England camp. You got Courtney Laws out, Lewis Ludlam. He's out, George Furbank, the Tigers, Ben Youngs, George Martin, Ellis Genge. I mean, so both of them, they sort of even themselves out, I guess. Tigers, I don't think will be as affected as much as the Saints will with those losses, I'd say. But yeah, what two terrific sides. I mean, Leicester Tigers have just been sensational. From Saints last weekend.
What happened?
It's unbelievable. Yeah. And I go back now as well, Brent. I'm going back a couple of years now when Jordan Murphy was involved with the Leicester Tigers. I mean, I just cannot bear this guy. He was a good player. I don't know how many caps he got for the Tigers. He must have got over 120 or something. He was this amazing player. But as soon as he got involved in the old management, you could just see there were serious problems. And he's been gone now about 2 years odd. And it's a different team, eh? And I can't believe the improvement and how quick it happened. But yeah, they're sensational, and I think just generally they're bouncing and they're in great form. I'm going with the Tigers here. I just think they're good. They're such a good team. They're winning tough games. They're still pulling out the results. I think Saints losses, especially with Courtney Laws and Lewis Ludlam, I think those are big. And George Furbank as well at the back. I think that might just come back to hurt them a little bit more. And I've got a feeling that Leicester Tigers, it'll be 7 from 7. And I hope so, because I'm really happy to see, the Tigers come back to their best.
Hey, Brendan, I mean, they were like a B team in the league last season. Like they were just getting steamrolled. And
they were also runs.
Like, here's Sarah, like well done. I mean, what's gone on there is pretty. And Walford Road, when it's humming, oh man, I would love. That's the best stadium team crowd. When that crowd gets going,
exactly.
They're like freaking on steroids.
See Borthwick, I mean, he's been terrific. I think that what I like about the Tigers as well is this season is their away form's been good as well. I mean, last season, for example, they probably won one game on the road or something, 1 or 2 at the most. They were awful. They were kind of like the Newcastle Falcons, just a horrible away side. But this time around, man, it doesn't even look like they're playing away from home half the time because they just stick to their strategy and their game plan, and they just don't compromise. And I mean, I really liked Sale last week to upset them, but this time around, I think Saints will come up short here.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a bit of a gulf there. I think you're right. When Saints were, even when they have that, when that hasn't happened before, they do fall off the cliff a little bit more than other teams. I agree with you. And I think Leicester just have this culture. Northampton are on the rise as well because they were horrendous last year, but Leicester are on a much better trajectory. And I think that momentum, I agree, losing less of an impact, losing those players. You're right. I would probably have gone for the home, just purely the home, because so close. Go Saints at home, close game. But you're right. I think what Leicester have done over this last couple of games and season have proven that it's like a Leicester will win by 2 or 3 points come the end of the game, and I think that's probably how it will end. I agree.
Right, so we got Leicester Tigers there. You've convinced Chris to come aboard with you there, Brendan. Let's go to the last game of the Premiership. We'll start with Brendan. Harlequins up against Saracens. Saracens delivered good profits for me. It pretty much saved my weekend on Sunday there. I was on Saracens overs points and overs tries. Pulled me back square for the weekend, quite frankly. And here we got Saracens. They are the favourites, but only 2.5 point favourites. And I'm guessing, Brendan, that means they've lost a lot of players to England, to the England squad.
They have, but maybe not as much as you'd think, eh? I had a look earlier on, and I saw Max Mellon's definitely gone, Jamie George gone, Mora Itoje, I think he's still sort of carrying an injury, so he's not really part of the starting squad. Whereas Quins will lose Marcus Smith, massive, Alex Dombrandt, massive, and Joe Marler, average. But for me, man, Saracens are just a machine. I can't believe that a side, I think I said it last week as well, the side that was playing, second division rugby last season has somehow just managed to just bounce back into the Premiership so well. I mean, it just goes to show the coaching and the whole sort of mentality of the.
Brendan, were you the same when Saracens came out as favourites? I was like, "Are you joking?" What?
They were 2-1 favourites, 15-8.
Now they're clearly favourites. It's like, how? I mean, look. I mean, it's Saracens, right? The Saracens machine. But you just would have thought, surely another season to get back into it, and Exeter's quality, Bristol, they can't be the favourites, but they are the favourites. They are so good. Yeah.
The bookmakers were way too clever for us there, eh? I remember thinking 2-1. I said, "Oh my God, you can have as much 2-1 as you want." Oh God, there goes the dog.
There goes the underdog. I'll just mute Brendan there for a second. But just to come in there, Peter Paul saying this is Betting Stig on Twitter, and he used to have his algorithm that he used. Unfortunately, one of his inputs was no longer available, but he's still been on cracking form. I saw last week, and he says his best bet is the Saracens minus 2.5. Looks like the underdogs being put to bed there. But Brendan, let's just finish off with you on this game. You've sung Saracens' praises. You've pretty much told us how great Saracens are, but you've stopped short at this point of tipping the Saracens minus 2.5. Is that where you're going?
Without a doubt. It's one of the better bets of the weekend. Yeah. Saracens against Quins. Quins have looked a little bit shaky at times this season. Minus 3.5 is kind of what's the handicap you've got? What's the best?
2.5. Minus 2.5. You can
2.5. Yeah, best bet of the weekend. Series minus.
Right, and Betting Stig in agreement, and it's going to be a brave man who goes against Brendan and the Betting Stig. Let's see if Chris is that brave man. Chris?
No, I'm all aboard. All aboard the Saracens train. Yeah.
We're on the conductor's train.
No, seriously, with the players that Quins team is amazing. That's one of the best rugby team. I love Quins, but take those guys out, and what Saracens are about. This is a Saracens win by 5-10 points at the end of the day.
Mad Dog Odds just coming in and saying, have a look at total tries. Obviously, we don't have lines yet, but he reckons there's going to be a good sort of 7 tries in this one. So that'll be an interesting one to look at. I've become quite a big fan of the total tries market as opposed to total points in many cases. I mean, it's often, you have to look at the game and say, Saracens last week, for example, did take 2 early penalties, which meant the points arrived before the tries. But it is one of those things to have a look at. But, gents, that brings us to the end of the Gallagher Premiership. So I'm going to go on to the Bunnings NPC. There is, of course, no United Rugby Championship to talk about. And I know Brendan has got some very firm views on the Bunnings, Brendan. But, we'll go with Chris on this one. I'm sure we'll have Brendan nodding his head.
I'm glad Chris has raised his hand.
Yeah, Chris is
Are you guys?
for the Bunnings.
To show you guys look pretty, right? You look sexy, and I was.
Yeah, no, we look we just sit there looking good for this one. But Chris, I'm going to bring you in. I know on Twitter you can see the likes of 3Pete and that are still having their little competition there on that, and there's been some excellent tipping last week from what I could see.
Yeah, just got a full house, didn't they? Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, Canterbury against Tasman. Chris, you get us rolling here, though. We got a 45.5 points.
Well, let me cap. Sorry, Brent.
I'll give you the cap as well. We got Canterbury plus 5.5 against Tasman.
Yeah, so let me just caveat. I mean, MPC isn't my strongest, but I do play in it. I do bet it, and I do follow it, but I wouldn't say it's my best. But the Canterbury Tasman is not. It's not a game I'm getting involved. Just Tasman are probably the better side, but this is not a game that I would be getting. But there's other games in the MPC this week, and I'm more interested in. But I would say Tasman win. The cap's perfectly set. They'll win between 1 and 5.
Right, that's a well set cap. So if you think that's the case, and you're probably going to have a look at the 1 to 12 point winning margin, which will probably be priced around the 15.
What happens, Brent? You have the Canterbury Crusaders in your head, and I've done this for a while, and Henrik's very good at not doing that. But you see Canterbury Crusaders when you see Canterbury playing, but at MPC level with where it is, they're at parity, and they're not the force that you would associate for 15 years of them dominating Super Rugby, right?
Right. Well, just Guy Stone coming on the show on Facebook. Good to have you on there, Guy. Look forward to having you on the show soon, maybe on one of the international weekends when the Boks are playing. Of course, Guy also good mates with our mate, the Oracle. Right, Chris, let's go on to the next game. Bay of Plenty against Waikato. Here we got Bay of Plenty minus 5.5.
Yeah, so very interesting game, right? Because Bay of Plenty, for one, haven't played in 3 weeks due to COVID and whatnot. They last played 2nd of October. Then obviously Sean Wainui is passing, big deal, right, for them. Waikato have been pretty good, pretty strong. If you look at previous games, this game goes over 50 points most of the time. The last 5 games, it's a high scoring game. So before I looked at weather reports, I wasn't that very confident on the points line over. I haven't seen the points today. Even if you get 54, I'm confident on over 54. I would have backed Bay of Plenty on this game, but because they haven't played and Waikato have form, versions of Sean Wainui, either Bay of Plenty can come out and have this most amazing game, or I think it's going to be too much. And Waikato are a very good professional, well-drilled side. So in terms of the results, I know people are leaning Bay of Plenty, and you could probably say that they'll come out and do it for Sean Wainui and all of that. However, this Waikato team, I don't. Those guys are buggers. They will live with Bay of Plenty. So for me, it was always the points. When I looked at weather an hour ago, there was no rain. I mean, if you try to look for New Zealand on a map, you'll never ever see it because it's covered in a cloud. I think that's still the case. Don't even know what New Zealand looks like. So it's the same this weekend. There's rain about. But what I've learned, and also French rugby, I know we talk about weather all the time. I've been promised hurricanes, and I've seen sun. Promised good weather, like Brandon. I'm also for that. Half an hour before, you need pitches, especially New Zealand. It was a dry game. This is an over. It's going to be a free for all. It's going to be a festival. I think it's going to be a great game. But if there is rain, not so confident. But so what I'm saying is, I'm not going to pick a result because I think these teams are too easily matched. If it's good weather, go for the overs all day.
I'm on mute. Sorry, I've been coughing a little bit, so I didn't want to cough into the microphone, so I put myself on mute. But I agree with that advice, Chris. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying if it's dry, go overs, and otherwise potentially a no bet.
No, it is an overs game. It's going to be champagne. This is going to be an open game. I have no doubt about that. For all reasons.
Right, well, is it
whole occasion. This game is going to be a flowing game of rugby.
Well, I hope it's on Super Sport, but let's go on to the next game. Two games left to go before we get into our best bets. Manawatu up against Hawke's Bay, and here we got quite a big handicap. Manawatu are the underdogs at plus 11.5.
Yeah, so Hawke's Bay, wow, these guys, they've been on a mission the last year. They've retained this Ranfurly Shield. They surprised me. I mean, I expect them to win games, but they put teams away. They've played a lot of good rugby, a lot of intense rugby. On paper, Hawke's Bay win this by 15, 20 points. But I'm going to go on the whole rugby feel vibe here. In rugby terms, this is a spot where I think Hawke's Bay could run into a little bit of an issue to Manawatu. And I don't think it's going to be as plain sailing. 3 weeks ago, Ranfurly. This is a Hawke's Bay minus game. I'm going to go... Never mind the stats and the teams. I'm going to say in this spot, I think the plus handicap is quite a good bet. And if you want to, you know me, I like the doubles. If you want to get an extended Manawatu and plus 15, I think there's also rumors Hawke's Bay are rotating, but please check that before you bet because that's rumors. But I've heard that they are rotating, and they must be surely running into war soon. If that is the case, I think that's going to be a close game. Yeah.
Well, Dino coming in, he says he also likes.
I think the cap's too high in that regard, and that's not like quality team versus team. This is the situation as well.
Right, the match situation there. Dino just coming in. He likes the turbos on the plus. Dino, I wanted to mention you there, of course, named Henrik the Undertaker. And I'm pleased to say I think that nickname is sticking. Let's go for the final game. Sorry, Brendan.
It's stuck. The Undertaker.
Oh yes, the Undertaker. No, that's definitely that's a perfect. It's a bit like your underdogs that you had to put away there. I think that name will definitely stick. Southland up against Northland, Chris. Southland delivered. Was it last week? Big profits in a game against Wellington there for the boys. Almost pulled off the win as well against Wellington, but I know the likes of Henrik were very strong on Southland on the plus. They now play against Northland, and here we got a points line already. We've got a points line of 52.5.
Wow. No.
52.5.
No. That's I was talking to. I don't have points line on my bookies. That's too high. So I normally wouldn't get. No, I wouldn't be involved in this game. But that's too high. This is a 47, 48 point game. And if there is weather around, like we're saying, like if you find New Zealand on the map, please let me know. This is way too high.
But just out of interest, I want to ask a question. Yeah, maybe
taken off some.
Why is there?
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris. What I wanted to ask is, why is there a points line out already? If this is a Sunday game, is it not? Maybe it couldn't possibly be played under the roof, could it?
Southland. They playing in what?
I'm asking. I don't know. I'm just trying to. It's unusual for bookies to come out with a line so early. So I'm wondering if there's more to this than we think. You know.
That's what I'm saying. It's come out at certain bookies and it's been taken off, and I don't know how and why. But I've been had a chat with a few guys. But at 52, you're taking unders at this point, right? Like you have to. But as I said, it was seen around. I don't. This is weird. I don't understand. Yeah, you're right. I mean, normally we don't get points lines till an hour, 2 hours before. This is a very weird one.
Okay, that's interesting. Oh, so I'm actually looking at this. So Alex is saying here that it's actually on Saturday morning. The bookie that I'm on actually shows it on Sunday. So that could explain why there's a points line out. Okay, that would explain.
Yeah, I've got it on Saturday morning.
Oh, you got it Saturday? Yeah, no, I've got it on the 31st here, 3 o'clock in the morning on PlayerBet. So I think they've got the game because that's why I couldn't figure out why the points were out. I thought we must be missing something. But any last views on that game, Chris? Anything on the handicap there, or you're just thinking under 52.5?
Nah, yeah, I'm not going to touch the cap. This is the game. Could be it's going to be it's messy. Could be messy if the weather's around. 52 is going to be a hard graft. Right.
Well, let's get into the best bets. I'm just looking at the timer. I thought, hey, this has been quite a quick show, but we've been going 59 minutes. It's amazing how time flies when you talk rugby. We're going to get into the best bets. Just a reminder, you can get my best bet, which will probably be one of the guests' best bet, quite frankly, and that will be in the newsletter that goes out sometime tomorrow. You can subscribe at the link below the show. Let's start off with you, Chris. Your best bets for the weekend.
My two best bets are, because there's lots of weather around, it would have been points bets, as you know, Brent. But because of the weather, I'm going to tread a little bit carefully on this Thursday night before we know more. Will be a Bristol win and a Saracens -2 are my two best bets of the weekend. Quite confident. Very
Both
confident.
bets there in the Gallagher Premiership for Chris. Brendan O'Connell, Patches O'Connell. What are you going with?
Saris, yeah, we're jumping on that train, the Saris train. The best minus you can get, best bet of the weekend. Next best, unders in the Bath game against Wasps, and certainly if it's a bit wet, I'll be lumping onto that one. And then I have to add a third, Warriors plus 13.5.
You ruined my weekend, man. Oh, okay. I'm not going to have money in it. I said that last week. I totally disagree, but I'll shout Warriors home. I'll shout them home for you guys.
Thank you.
That's fine.
What? Just reading Mad Dog's
What's
comment
Mad Dog
there
saying?
before you finish up. Ronan O'Gara, HOF worthy. Sorry, I don't know what HOF means.
Head of what? These acronyms. Oh my god.
Mad Dog odds. You're going to have to come up.
Head
You're
of
going to have to
finance?
tell us what that means. HOF.
Yeah. Let's see what he has to say.
Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame.
4 in the morning.
Oh, Hall of Fame.
If you guys want NFL bets, just like give us a ping. You should see the spreadsheet that Maddox owns, man. It's gold.
Oh, really? Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yes,
But what do you
please,
think,
Maddox.
Ronan O'Gara, Brendan? Hall of Fame worthy?
Generally, I'm quite a grumpy kind of guy, so I probably wouldn't give it to him. Hall of Fame kind of stuff. I mean, it's hard. Okay, he hasn't been as great as the last couple of years, which is fine. I mean, that's the way it is. I probably agree with that. Yeah, he's probably been good enough. You know what I mean? In his prime, he was brilliant. No one came near him, especially in the Irish camp anyway, which is maybe to their detriment because, who's going to come after him is anybody's bet. But, why not?
I respect him. I wouldn't say it was like the greatest player in the world, but I have a lot of respect for that guy. What he did and I mean, I wouldn't say he was no Dan Carter, right? But I think what he's done is very impressive, and he's going to be Irish head coach, and I think Ireland will have a good role.
I was going to say he's doing well as a coach as well. Yeah,
he's a lead. No, he's good. I don't know why Sky Sports put him through the rigor in the South African series recently. You guys would have seen the poor Oak. I don't know why they did that to this guy, but anyway, his insights are pretty good.
But I think, guys, Shane can finish the show off for us. He's saying Oracle for the Hall of Fame. I don't think many people are going to argue with that. Shane,
Oracle.
This Oracle, where's Oracle?
Straight to the top. Shane also says Johnny Sexton. But that's it, guys. Thanks, first of all, to the guys in the live chat. And then to Chris. Thanks a lot, Chris. You got any other plans for the weekend? You're going to keep your jogging going, go out for a run, perhaps?
How are the pins feeling?
I think Chris actually
Chris is frozen.
There he's
I
back.
certainly won't be running this weekend.
You going to go for a run, Chris, this weekend?
I'm about to go. Here we go. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Keep your shirt on. Thanks, man. And Brendan, yourself, what are the plans for the week?
I'm looking forward to the weekend, loads of rugby, which is absolutely wonderful. I'll be watching a bit of jump racing in the UK, which will be good. Football, Brentford are away to Burnley. So, I might end up watching a bit of that game. What else? Other than that, Sunday, we'll do something with the kids and we'll take the kids out and we'll go for a drive or something.
Excellent.
Yeah, and yourself, Brent? You're just hoping there won't be any more power failures.
I'll be watching my son's playing a water polo tournament this weekend, so I'll watch that. But he's also playing a sevens rugby tournament this weekend, so he's kind of, I don't know what we're going to do because he's going to miss the. But anyway, I'll definitely, if they allow spectators into the rugby, I'll definitely go and watch that. But water polo for sure. And of course, I'll be punting like a mad thing. So looking forward to the weekend. But anyway, lads, thanks very much. Thanks to the guys, as I say in the live chat. We'll catch you next week for what should be a bumper show. Lots of international rugby on the Handicap Rugby Chat that matters.